I'm here in suburban Rugby, and the building behind us here is St Matthew's Church. It was built in 1841 from sandstone blocks in the Victorian Gothic style. It survived the 1967 bushfires, and in 1996 there was an arson attack. It is falling apart though. The roof's been replaced and the sandstone blocks are being chiselled away by rain. The graveyard behind it is even older, predates the church. It began in 1827. Everything's overgrown, no one really visits, no one worships inside. There's tall grass and creepers everywhere. So why are we here? Because this book told us to come here. The historic Hobart Sketchbook, drawings by Frank Mather, text by Joan Woodbury, is what it says on the cover. It's basically a series of missives and accompanying sketches of different locations around the town. Interestingly, the text was written by somebody who lived in Hobart. The drawings were done by somebody who didn't. And if I had to guess, in 1976 when this book was published, the person didn't travel here but probably had photographs sent to them, and then they did pictures based on those. Opening up the book, on page 8, the author talks about the Old Wharf area and the place that used to be Hunter Island in Sullivan's Cove. Hunter Island was barely a series of rocks and a couple of trees to begin with. What it was, however, was deep enough for large ships to dock, and the isolation gave some form of security to goods being unloaded. In the first few years, sailors arriving and leaving had to wade through the shallows in order to reach the mainland. This painting isn't included in the sketchbook. It's simply titled Hunter Island. It was made in 1809 by G.P. Harris. A few years later, beginning in about 1820, a causeway was built on top of the spit. This made everything a bit easier. Here is a somewhat unclear scan of a picture by the convict artist Alan Carswell from 1821. In the middle you can see Hunter Island and the beginning of the causeway joining it to the mainland. In the bay is a series of whaling ships. More interesting is that to the left of the causeway is a body of water that no longer exists. That is where the Hobart rivulet used to spill into the river. Today, all of that water area has been turned into reclaimed land, and the flow of the rivulet now goes through a series of pipes out into the Derwent. Here is an 1811 layout of Sullivan's Cove and Hobart Town, placed with an overlay of the contemporary streetscape of the town. You can see just how much land has been reclaimed and just how completely different the whole area looks. Roughly where Hunter Island was is where the IXL building now is, and the causeway is now Hunter Street. So you can park your car where the rocks were and you can walk where the waves lapped. Turning next to page 28 is the Boa Vista guest house, which even at the time of publishing the book had already been demolished. At the intersection of Archer Street and Argyle Street is a diminutive structure between the trees that goes almost unnoticed. Sitting inside the Friends School car park, the small white classical building is a leftover, all that remains of a mansion. Depicted here by an unknown colonial artist in 1859, this drawing shows the Boa Vista at its most prestigious. Built by the colonial surgeon James Scott in 1832, the home and the gardens were fantastic, but like so many properties, it slowly declined. Sold and resold, the vast gardens were carved up in various property deals. Fast forward a century and a half, and by 1970 the place was demolished. It's all gone now, all except this entrance lodge that was once used as a guardhouse. Turning towards the back of the book, you come to page 54, which is the toll house. If Hobart has a spiritual crossroads, a spot that says more about the city than anywhere else, it's possibly where Newtown Road splits the joint of Forster Street and Risdon Road. 6 roads flow and crunch together here, and the reason everything is so messed up is because of something that is no longer here. Erected in 1860, the toll house was a uniquely shaped, almost 3-sided building on the Montague Street corner. It was used to collect tolls from people entering and exiting Hobart Town and the new suburb of Sassafras Valley, now known as Lena Valley. The funds collected were used to fund the maintenance and improvement of the road up to Launceston. As new roads within the capital were built, more and more methods of evading the toll increased, and by 1880 the toll system was ineffective, broadly resented, and finally abolished altogether. The old toll house building survived for a century longer as a residential property, but by the 1980s it was demolished to make way for a car park. Going back to page 16, there is a location and the name of a person who pops up throughout the book, a name that appears in pretty much any historical book written about Tasmania. This well-known portrait is unusual in that it was painted by 3 separate artists working together. The central figure by T.G. Gregson, Pony and Dog by J.W. Graves Jr., and the landscape by Frank Dunnett. The man in focus is an almost fictional character in early colonial life. So this is why we're here. This is Robert Knopwood's monument. A lot of people know who Knopwood was, maybe. Not too many people actually know where he's buried, and even less would visit the location. It's beneath us here, I guess about 6 feet. And I'll read what it says about him in the book. Knopwood, 1767 to 1838, was not a young man, like most, when he came to Hobart Town. Until his death, he watched and recorded events, and it is his account that provides us with the continuous comment of early colonial life. He had many friends here on the eastern shore, where he retired and lived his last days. If you come here, you may hear in the air the ghostly echoes ring through the valley. They be of Knopwood, hunting the kangaroo. Come on, dog.